But what would be your reasonable suspicion? What would you present to the CPS of your decision to pass it on to them? What would you present?
To pass on to them is that you failed to produce one.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
But I don't have to.
You failed to give me any means to verify whether you have one.
But that's not enough for reasonable grounds. That's just me asserting my human right, Article 8. That's all it is. That's not enough to assert reasonable grounds, Inspector.
Article 8 only applies, right? It can be infringed when you're committing an offence.
But you would have to have reason. But you cannot use my standing up for Article 8 and my refusal to give you my details as grounds.
Which I'm not doing.
No, but if you were asking for my operator's ID to check my operator's ID, you would also need my name.
Because I'm not asking you, because I have no power to require you. Okay? So we're going around in a bit of a circle.
No, because you're not making sense.
No,
Inspector.
I am making perfect
really
sense. Well, I'm
not.
making perfect sense to myself.
Well,
okay?
then you need to go back to verbal reasoning.
What we're doing here is, what we're doing is we're going around in houses. You are exercising your rights. You are allowed to fly a drone. Absolutely allowed to fly a drone. If it has a camera, you must have an operator ID.
Yep.
If you don't have an operator ID, you commit an offence. Okay?
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
Okay?
Your reasonable suspicion is where it's getting messy.
I understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
And well, you can't use the fact that I am declining to produce something I don't have to produce to you as your reasonable grounds to suspect. I absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
Totally understand that.
So if I take it back up and that's still your grounds.
And I 100% respect your rights to a private life without intrusion from the state. I appreciate them. Okay, I don't want to be stopped and interfered with by the police.
Exactly.
Okay, so I totally understand that. However, there will be circumstances where if you are recording potentially confidential information...
If it's confidential information, it should not be visible.
Potentially, it's only visible if you're flying a drone over the back of a police station.
Still, no, not really.
Okay.
But it's a legal activity, so you still need to make sure. You know drones are a thing. You know there are YouTubers that do come and do this, so you need to take those steps to make sure that those areas are
there could
not
be somebody.
containing.
There could be somebody who is working at a desk with information in front of them, and you fly over the thing and you film it. Okay.
I'm not looking in your windows.
Yeah, but no. Oh, well, how do I know that?
Well, you don't. But even if I was,
because I don't know you from Adam, sir.
No, you don't.
Okay?
But then get tinted windows.
I don't know that whatsoever.
Get tinted windows, or what do you call them, frosted glass and things like that.
But we don't need to have that because
well,
there's a right.
Okay.
Before anyone mentions drones, before GDPR gets dragged into the conversation, and far more dangerous, assumptions replacing legal thresholds. This interaction starts with a simple refusing to volunteer information is not suspicious. Watch how quickly the conversation loops. Watch how reasonable grounds gets blurred with discomfort. And most importantly, watch how the officer struggles to articulate a lawful basis for escalation while openly acknowledging they lack the power to compel compliance. This is a textbook example of how rights are slowly eroded, not by force, but by persistence. And the biggest twist? The more the officer talks, the clearer it becomes that the legal footing just isn't there. Stay locked in, because this one turns into a masterclass.
And they had a telescope or binoculars, ultra zoom DSLR lens, whatever. They could do exactly the same thing. So actually, depending on where your windows are and depending on what your surroundings are, you should have frosted glass and you should be taking that data protection more seriously.
You're probably quite correct. In fact, somebody stood there.
Yeah.
Can actually do that.
Yeah.
Okay. But you must also remember data protection applies to data that can identify a person. There might not be
it's the obligation of yourself to make sure that's secure.
There might not be any information which can identify a person.
Yeah. So then your argument about the drone is invalid then, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's either that situation which is the same as my drone or it's not.
You raised this point earlier yourself about your right under the GDPR about the body camera. Okay, you're not identifiable on that body camera because you're not giving any details.
No, but my face is enough. Yeah, my face is enough to identify me as a living individual, which is what counts as personal and private data under GDPR.
You're only identifiable if someone recognises that image, which won't be shared with anybody because it's on a secure server. Okay. Okay. So, and if you were to make a request about information held about you, that information would not be retrievable because we wouldn't be able to search for an image of you on our system.
Well, you can because I've made subject matter requests and got body cam footage myself without giving details at the time as well, so I can
possibly about the time and place. Okay, if you give time and location, okay, then that's fine. You give time and location, then yes, the information would be retrievable. Yeah. But if you just said, I'm actually Adam Smith and I want video footage that you've got of me, we wouldn't be able to give it to you because the system doesn't allow us to do that.
But you've got to give other circumstances, absolutely.
But there are always circumstances. Okay?
But I still don't get what you're getting with the GDPR and the drone because, like I said, if it's visible from the drone, it's visible from that window, and that responsibility is on you to make that secure.
My concern being is, if you fly a drone over the back of a police station, and you fly a drone looking into the windows of a police station, what operational or what purpose might you be doing that for?
Again, and that's
now you can have a hobby. that there's also a concern that that could be being used as hostile reconnaissance.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting in these circumstances it is, but it could be, in which case you could be...
This is where the officer hits the first wall. He openly admits he has no power to require the operator ID, yet still wants to use the refusal as justification. That's the problem. Reasonable grounds cannot be manufactured from a person exercising their rights. The auditor correctly points out that Article 8, the right to private life, doesn't create suspicion just because it's asserted. And that distinction is critical. Rights don't disappear because they're inconvenient to an investigation. Notice how the officer agrees, then immediately circles back. This isn't confrontation, it's confusion. The law is being acknowledged in theory, but ignored in practice. And when enforcement shows uncertainty like this, it usually means one thing. The stop...
Yeah, because if you're going to bring something up, at least allow a retort to it.
I'm trying to say things like you might find yourself in a situation.
I found myself in that situation. I've been to certain things and I'm suing you guys for it. Because it's not a situation where it's applicable. Hostile reconnaissance, by its very nature, is covert. And that is from the National Police Chiefs Council in their memo circulated to every police station this time last year.
But that is not in every single circumstance, okay? Because quite frankly, the best way of being, well, I'm going to say invisible, is to be perfectly visible.
So, yeah, double bluffing.
Yeah, exactly, okay? So, and that's the best way. Make yourself obvious and no one thinks you do anything wrong.
If I wanted to do hostile reconnaissance on here, I would probably get access to that building. I would get access to that building. You know what I mean? Exactly. So people wouldn't stand here doing it. They would, because you would never even see somebody doing it. You would never even see somebody doing it.
So flying a drone. So you're flying a drone over this police station?
Yes. Well, you said over a police station.
Over a police station, yes.
But all police stations in London have other vantage points.
The circumstances that you may find yourself addressed or facing in a different situation.
Well, I'm sorry, but the National Police Council disagree with you on this.
That may well be the case, okay? But not every set of circumstances, not every memo that's sent out is applicable to every scenario. And every scenario will always have nuances and edges around, okay? Because not one size fits all. So you're here, you want to fly your drone. You carry on and you fly your drone.
Cool.
Okay? If that drone appears to be over 250 grams, or we can see it and we have a reason to think you might be committing an offence, then we will reassess and we'll have this conversation again a short while later. Okay?
Okay. There's not going to be any offences committed.
Well, that's fine. But I would ask you...
your colleagues can confirm it.
I would ask you, please not to fly it over the police station, because it does cause concern. However, I can't stop you.
Okay, just for future reference, if a drone is directly over your police station, the chances are the camera is not pointing at your police station, okay?
No, I understand that, because our helicopter goes there and it's filming about a mile away over there. I understand that.
So, like, not always, if you see a drone near or over your police station, over there to get the footage, I've probably got some footage of your yard.
I absolutely understand that. And
sometimes I do fly over police stations to get footage of their cars.
People fly drones, that's fine. Okay, they're allowed. I know there's been recent changes in the legislation to introduce this operator's ID. Is it flying ID you need as well?
Fly ID, sorry.
Fly ID and operator's ID.
The flyer ID is only if your drone's over 250.
Over 250. Yes. I understand that. It's all recent, it's all new. And I'm to be honest with you, I'm getting old. It's hard to keep up with a lot of the changes. All right. But I would ask you not to, but I can't stop you. Okay. And that's just a polite request. Okay. It's a polite conversation. All right.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So before we go, so obviously you heard me say about the body-worn cameras. Please have a conversation with all three of your PCs about the severity of that, because it is something that we are quite hot on. Obviously, it is our right to know that you're holding data about us. You do have an obligation to let us know at the first most practical opportunity.
Well, you've already explained that to the officers sitting at the grandstand.
Okay. But yeah, like hearing it from me or whatever, but you need to make sure that all of your constables are aware of this, because it's not just yourself and your colleagues, it's 99% of the time when I interact with constables in London, and they never say anything.
Unfortunately for them, it's become second nature just turning it on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to say it's right. I'm going to say it happens. Okay. And you're right. You should be made aware, because quite frankly, it is your right to know that information is being captured and recorded about you. Nothing we do is covert, which is where the camera flashes red. And it's highlighted yellow.
A red flashing could be standby.
I appreciate that you know what that means.
But not everybody's going to know what a red flashing light is.
I fully understand that, and that's something I'll take on board now, feed back in, and I'll get circulated across to everybody.
I appreciate that.
But again, equally, I would ask that you don't fly it over the police station.
Okay.
But it's a polite request.
Okay.
That's
and I'll ask that, again, you train your PCs on how to interact, and when a member of the public asserts that they don't want to engage, they do their investigation without them further accosting. Okay.
Well, I don't know what happened because before I came
or you can review the body with footage, unless it's a situation where they genuinely believe an offence is being committed and they're about to detain or search. If a member of the public doesn't want to interact with you, we're under no obligation to do so, and we don't deserve to be harassed once we
where the conversation takes a sharp detour into hypothetical fear. The officer raises the idea of drones peering into windows, capturing confidential information. Sounds serious until you examine it. The auditor dismantles it instantly. If something is visible from a drone, it's visible from a window, binoculars, or a zoom lens, that's not a loophole. That's settled expectation of privacy law. If sensitive information is visible from a public vantage point, the responsibility lies with the building owner, not the observer. This is a crucial moment because it exposes a misunderstanding that crops up again and again. Technology doesn't create new privacy rights. It only reveals existing vulnerabilities. And once that's said out loud, the argument loses its teeth.